Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Kevin Crothers from White Throne Metal Radio and Heaven's Metal Magazine and the Throne Room Podcast. I'd like to talk to you today about my favorite band. It's been my favorite band for over 30 plus years, actually 40 years pretty much now. I'm talking about Rush. For some of you, you may be wondering why I'm doing a video about Rush, and that's okay. And for some of you, you're probably wondering what took you so long to wade into this field. And I just wanted to count down my favorite Rush albums. I became a fan in 1980, and ironically, it wasn't through Permanent Waves or Moving Pictures, but through their 1975 album, Caress of Steel. And it was because my gateway band at the time was AC/DC, but my cousins were really into Rush. And I heard All the World's a Stage. I thought, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good. And Caress of Steel, my cousin didn't have it. I found it in a bargain bin, picked it up for him at the time. This is, again, 1980, and it was a cassette. And usually we'd see him periodically, and then we didn't see him for a couple of months. And so I thought, I'm going to pop this open and see what this band sounds like. And I liked it. But I really didn't pick up any of their stuff until really the following year, or later in 81, when Columbia Record and Tape Club, for those of us who remember those days, and I remember getting Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures on cassette, since then transferred over to vinyl and CD and everything else. But ever since then, I've been hooked. And yes, there have been many times where I've faded out of hard rock and came back, and, life and things. And for me, Rush has always been that constant music-wise. I may not always agree with the themes lyrically, but folks, if all of our friends and people that were influencers of us thought the same way we did, we'd be pretty bored, and we'd be pretty boring, wouldn't we? Nobody there to challenge us. Nobody there to give us some kind of enlightenment, because their personal journey might be different from ours. So I like all the Rush albums, okay? All of them. There's not one Rush album I can put on and go, that's horrible. There are certain albums have different dynamics for me, but I like them all, and I've listened to them all. I am not a fan from 74 to 1980, and that's it. I like everything. So some of my choices here may surprise some of you, and let's get started. My least favorite Rush album, the one I go to the least, and by the way, we're not counting compilations, we're not counting live albums, studio releases, and original material. Sorry, no feedback. Okay? So, but my my least favorite Rush album is from 1996, and that would be Test for Echo. Test for Echo, to me, it just doesn't, it has, in my opinion, one of their heaviest songs, Virtuality, which seems to get overlooked so much. Some people talk about the lyrics being dated and whatnot because you're talking about the internet, I guess. It's a solid song, and there's some great stuff on here. Driven. I love Resist. I love Limbo. Driven. Half the World. There's some great stuff on this album, but unfortunately, I go to this one the least. Coming in at number 19, Test for Echo. Coming in at number 18 is Roll the Bones. Roll the Bones. Again, there are some absolute classics on this album. Make no mistake, Dreamline. I love Ghost of a Chance. The first time I heard it, I was like, I'm not sure. But that song grew on me so much. Great song. I do still like Roll the Bones. Bravado, though, was very, very melancholy to me, lyrically and musically. And it's really only been within the last 5 to 7 years that I can put that song on and go, this is a great tune. I love Where's My Thing, Part 4 of the Gangster of Boats trilogy. But most of the stuff I found to be somewhat thin, a little too. They were good songs. You Bet Your Life, Neurotica, The Big Wheel. There's some good stuff on here. Still not one I go to, but you can't overlook Dreamline. An absolute bona fide Rush classic if there ever was one. Roll the Bones. Coming in next is Vapor Trails. Vapor Trails. Again, there's some good stuff on here. I'm showing the remixed version. I do have a copy of the original here. It's got the Rasputin's where I purchased it sticker on it, still on it. A very dense album, their comeback as it were. Neil having lost his wife and his daughter. Not sure if we were going to lose the whole band as well. It's a good record, but to me, I don't go to it very often. I love Earthshine. I love Secret Touch. Secret Touch has an awesome break in the middle. Of course, the song Ghost Rider, One Little Victory, great stuff. But of course, many of us know all about the production as far as the manufacturing, the mastering. It's so loud that the remix really does help it out a lot. But again, still not top shelf. Coming in next, Presto. Now I have to admit, when Presto came out in '89, I was into much heavier stuff at the time, like a lot of people were. But coming off of Hold Your Fire, where at the time, half of the record I liked, half I didn't really care for it. This was it felt like kind of a return to form, in the sense that there weren't as many keyboards on this record. Show Don't Tell, Chain Lightning, The Pass, what a brilliant song, War Paint. Always loved War Paint, and I've always loved Superconductor. Saw this tour. It was great. They opened, with Force 10. But Presto, good stuff. The first album they did with Rupert Hine, trying to rediscover the rock, was really what... And Geddy Lee has said on occasion, there were some nice ideas on here. They wish they developed them a little bit more fully. But Presto coming in there at, 16? Followed up by number 15. Now, I could have put this one higher. And I really, really have come to really dig this album a lot. And that would be Hold Your Fire. When I first heard this record, I just didn't know what to make of it. Force 10 left me wanting. It just was missing. Time Stand Still sounded too poppy to me. This is an 87, 88, 87, 88, 87, 87. They missed the Bay. They didn't play in the San Francisco Bay Area on this tour, which was really disappointing because I was really looking forward to seeing them on this tour. Since that time, I really like Force 10. I dig Time Stand Still. Open Secrets is a hidden gem. You get the trifecta of Lock and Key, Mission, and Turn the Page all right in a row. High Water, another hidden gem in my opinion. Yes, it's very produced. It's 1987, folks. Big drum sounds, lots of keyboards, but it's still Rush. You can't tell me you listen to that breakdown and Turn the Page where there's this whole section where it's like, wow, I've been waiting to hear this since 1980. There's some really good songs on here. They continue to strive to be great songwriters. Coming in there, Time Stands Still on Hold Your Fire. Followed that up with Snakes and Arrows. Snakes and Arrows, saw this tour twice. Far Cry, what a solid song. Armor and Sword, Working Them Angels. The Way the Wind Blows with Alex Lifeson's just absolutely brilliant Eric Clapton impersonation. If you go back and listen, it sounds like Clapton in parts. Malignant Narcissism is their top 3, one of their all-time best instrumentals, period. You can argue with me on that all you want. It's just under 3 minutes long. It rocks. It's a great song. I didn't care for The Larger Bowl. Spindrift was a little melancholy for me. Faithless was good. Good song. The Main Monkey Business is a good instrumental. A really solid modern era Rush record. Again, they're working on song structures. They're heavy. And I think a solid album from Rush. If you're tired of, if you've heard Tom Sawyer 5,000 times and you're just going, what else is there? You couldn't do worse than pick up Snakes and Arrows. Next, we're going back to 74 and the debut album, Working Man, Finding My Way, Need Some Love, Take a Friend, What You're Doing, In the Mood. We all know it. We've heard it a million times. It's a great debut record. I never got the Zeppelin comparisons. Geddy sings in a much higher pitch, obviously, back then because he was 20, 22, whatever. It's a great rock album. It's a great place to start. For a long time, I would pull this record out a lot. When I was a lot younger, to me, this was like their, quote, heavy metal, 70s heavy metal album, at least, if you didn't want to listen to the long epics. Great stuff all the way around there with the debut. Only to be surpassed and followed up by Fly By Night. Fly By Night. Anthem, Best I Can, Beneath, Between, Behind, Bytor and the Snow Dog. In the end, Making Memories, and Rivendell, which sounds totally different than everything else in their catalog, in my opinion, because it's all acoustic. It's very, the closest thing to a ballad, other than what comes much later for many years. It's a great record. Of course, the introduction of Neil Peart to the band. Best I Can, lyrics by Lee, and that's an older track. Fly By Night. This was the last for me. This was the last of the original Tear albums. I picked up my original copy in '83. I think I was a freshman in high school at that time, and just Fly By Night, great album. Now coming up, getting closer to our top 10 here. I think that's about where we're at, right? Coming up next with Grace Under Pressure. When this came out, I couldn't hear enough A Distant Early Warning. What a great song. Always loved Red Sector A. Between the Wheels, when they reintroduced it and brought it back and played it live, on the Snakes and Arrows tour, when they played that song live, it was so heavy. Alex would hit those power chords, and I felt like when I saw them at the Concord Pavilion in Concord, California, I thought, man, the stage was just going to reverberate. It was unbelievably heavy. I remember liking the song way back when the album was released. They shot a bunch of videos for this record as well. The Body Electric, After Image, which of course many of us probably played to death after Neil's passing. A great record for 1983. What else can I say? Grace Under Pressure. Now we're cranking into the top 10 here. Coming in, I had to double check there. Coming in at number 10. This is where it's going to get dicey. This is where some of you are going to freak out on me and go, you've lost your mind. No, I'm a Rush fan. The whole catalog. I love it all. Coming in at number 10, Counterparts. This record, heavy, balls to the wall. This was Rush cranking up the Marshalls, eliminating the keyboards for the most part, writing heavy tunes. Cut to the chase. I loved Cold Fire and Everyday Glory. Animate. Alien Shore. The instrumental, Leave That Thing Alone. Between Sun and Moon. The only song on here I just always had a hard time with, because it felt melodramatic, is Nobody's Hero. Just the way it was arranged and produced, it just felt overly dramatic to me. Sue me. But number 10, Counterparts. Coming in at number 9. Now we're going to get even dicier for some of you, I know. Coming in at number 9, Hemispheres. Again, this is my favorites in my order. I love this record. When I got this, I played it to death. It had the little poster on the inside. Thank you, Columbia Record and Tape Club. I wish I still had that. It was the gatefold sleeve, and inside it had a poster, pull-out poster. But of course, Cygnus X1, Book 2, Circumstances of Trees, and of course, La Villa Strangiato. 4 songs. They said after this record they were never going to make this kind of record again. They wrote all the songs before they actually worked them out. Geddy sang in the ultimate highest pitch he could, because they were all in the toughest key possible. And it's an epic. Hemispheres coming in at number 9. Number 8. We go back to the 80s. 1985's Power Windows. How can I rank Power Windows as far as one of my favorites over Hemispheres? Some of you will say, I saw this tour. It was my first tour. I was a senior in high school, and I loved this record. I played it to death. The Big Money, Manhattan Project, Marathon, Territories. When they played Territories live, I ate it up. Mystic Rhythms. I always loved Middletown Dreams, and I always loved Emotion Detector. Absolutely fantastic. Extremely produced. 1985, Peter Collins, his first album they did with him. Great songs. And it's a Rush record. You know, they did a video for The Big Money and for Mystic Rhythms. I love this album. Absolutely a great album. And another one of these, I played it to death. Coming in there, Rush's Power Windows. Only to be followed in my top list with Caress of Steel. Yes, Caress of Steel here clocks in at, what is that, number 8? And number 7, Caress of Steel, Bastille Day, The Necromancer, The Fountain of Lament, I Think I'm Going Bald, and of course, Lakeside Park. I had to rank it this high. I still pull it out. I still love it. I still play it. I know that all the guys, you know, this was their... If this never got made, they would have never made what was coming later. You know, foremost, that's just the bottom line. Third album, experimental as all get out. I can still play The Fountain of Lameth. No One at the Bridge, Panacea, Bacchus Plateau, The Fountain, clocking in at 19 minutes, 58 seconds with Didax and Narpitz, you know, minute 02, and In the Valley. It's a great it's a great album for 1975, and clocking it in there. To be followed up by A Farewell to Kings. Farewell to Kings, Xanadu, Closer to the Heart, Cygnus X1, Cinderella Man, the title track, The Madrigal. Just a fantastic record. I remember listening in headphones when I got this album in like what 82 or 83, and I'm listening to Cygnus X1 in the headphones, and there was all the panning of the instrumentation left to right. Getty, the music here is just unbelievably heavy on Cygnus X1. Xanadu, a classic, all the way down. Just a great album with this, even with the shorter snippets of Madrigal and Cinderella Man. Farewell to Kings. Coming in here with top five. And coming in at number 5, Signals. Love Signals. I wish they would have played Countdown more. One of my all-time favorite Rush songs. One of the only Rush albums that when it came out, I didn't rush out to buy it because I put it on my Christmas list back then in, 82? And so it came out, I think, in like October of 82. And I didn't get it till Christmas, and I played it to death. I loved Subdivisions. I loved The Analog Kid, Chemistry, Digital Man, The Weapon. The only song I heard that at first I didn't care for was New World Man. It didn't sound like... When it was the first song I heard, I was expecting, Tom Sawyer or Spirit of Radio, and it sounds nothing like that. Where Subdivisions kind of a lot more keyboards, but it definitely has that heavier tone. New World Man does not. It has that reggae, that Police type feel. And it took me a long time to warm up to that. Signals, a solid album, an all-time Rush classic. To be followed up by Permanent Waves. Permanent Waves. 6 songs. Natural Science, Different Strings, Entre Nous, of course, Free Will, Jacob's Ladder, and The Spirit of Radio. This is a original master recording, the master recording series that they did. Pretty neat. If you've never seen one of these, it's a audio file, gold disc, lyrics and everything. I have number 4,169 of however many they made. And an absolutely great record. Jacob's Ladder was a slow burner for me. It's only been within the last probably 5 to 7 years that I've been, man, what a great song. I always loved Natural Science. Different Strings was cool. Entre Nous, which they never played live until Snakes and Arrows, was a great surprise on that tour. And it's this record's a classic, right? They ran right from Hemispheres right to The Spirit of Radio, right to Permanent Waves. An all-time Rush classic, coming in there at number 4. Coming in at number 3. Number 3 for me. And of course, and I'll say this, I give myself an out. This top 10 could change tomorrow. It's like all of these records, I think, are so close. So many of them, they're so interchangeable. Clockwork Angels. Neil thinks and has said he thinks it's their all-time culmination. Never thought they could do anything better than that. He wrote that in Far and Away. Far and Away? Far and Near. Near and Far. One of the 3 last books he wrote. And it's a dense record. But 7 Cities of Gold. B.U.to.B. Caravan. I mean, and then The Garden. One of the most beautiful songs they've ever written. And such a fitting end to say goodbye on, Vinyl, courtesy of my sister. Thank you, Sue. Beautiful vinyl. Just a great, absolutely great record. And I know many of you are going to go, there's no way that's one of their third best. No, this is one of my, right now, this is my third favorite. There is no best. There just isn't. And, of course, that brings me to number 2. Number 2 on this all-time list of my favorite Rush albums, 2112. What else do I need to say? 2112, Passage to Bangkok, Twilight Zone, Something for Nothing. Tears is a tough one. I always just struggled, and I have it on as number 2 because the title track is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Lessons, great song. Number 2, 2112. The first time I heard this, I remember I was in my bedroom. I borrowed a cassette from somebody because I hadn't gotten the money. This is probably 1982, 83, 84. And I remember playing that cassette over and over and over so many times. Rush, 2112. Which brings me to my all-time favorite Rush album. And yes, we've all heard it a million times. That doesn't mean it's not my all-time favorite, or perhaps even their all-time best record. When you sell 4 to 5 million albums on one album alone, with moving pictures, what a great album. Side 1, 4 solid, I'll say, hits. Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, YYZ. Let's just not be crazy here. Limelight, The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, and Vital Signs. Absolutely, without a doubt. I never push forward when I listen to this record. I just don't. I'll still love Tom Sawyer. I can listen to it often and endlessly. It's an all-time classic. What else can I say? There you have it. My favorite, all the Rush albums for me rank from my least favorite to my all-time favorite. If you want to say worst to best, that's your choice. But for me, I needed to get it out there. I've got my own Rush shrine going on in here, which you can't really see on camera. But thank you for watching. I will do other videos as well, provided the response on this one is pretty good. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And check it, if you get a chance, check us out, White Throne Metal Radio on Live 365, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you much. Have a great day.